course, most media outlets have spent far more time and effort covering the FBI memo's release and the actual allegations contained in the memo itself. It's almost like the allegations, which are that the U.S. government illegitimately spied on its own citizens, barely matter to them. They don't care about you or something. It's funny. Andrew Klavan is a contributing editor at City Journal. Terry Turchi is a former FBI Deputy Assistant Director for Counterterrorism, and they both join us tonight. Terry, first to you, since this pertains to the agency you spent so much time at. You're hearing people on other channels, there's almost a chorus of it, and it's becoming almost hysterical, I would say, that people who are interested in seeing this information or have questions about the FBI are unpatriotic, that they are insulting the men and women of the FBI. Do you think that?
No, I don't think that at all, Tucker. In fact, everything the FBI does should be out in the open, and we should be questioning it. And certainly we should be having questions about things like this. Nothing about any of these cases and what has been now confirmed in the memo have ever looked normal. And we have to ask ourselves, why were so many safeguards and guidelines and procedures that we always followed, never followed here? And I'll say one more thing to that. When I left the FBI and when I went into the FBI, we had a saying that you don't want to even just be concerned about propriety and the propriety of what you do. You also want to be equally concerned about the appearance of impropriety. Right. And in fact, I have a lot of friends and colleagues that got in a lot of trouble because of the appearance of impropriety. And this has that, at the very minimum, written all over it.
Yeah. And so you don't, just to make sure I'm absolutely clear on this, you don't feel diminished as a veteran of the FBI when people ask questions about its behavior?
Not at all. And in fact, I've talked to a lot of friends in the FBI and outside, and all of us are concerned about the irregularities of this and the top level of the FBI in the last few months. Yeah,
well, I can certainly see why. So, Mr. Klavan, what do you make of the press coverage of this? Do you think it has been designed to serve the public interest or something else?
Oh, I think it's a scandal within a scandal, and almost as bad as the scandal in the FBI. I mean, we just finished watching Spielberg's movie, The Post, about how brave the Washington Post was to defy the Nixon administration and bring out the Pentagon Papers despite their cries that it would hurt national security. Right. Now suddenly national security is sacrosanct and more important than information. I remember decades of the left squealing about J. Edgar Hoover and his unjustified wiretaps, and now suddenly we're told that unjustified wiretapping is a nothing burger. You know, the press has done nothing for this past year but whine about how Donald Trump has slapped them back and forth. But now, when it comes to releasing information, this is information that in no way damaged the public good, in no way damaged our national security. The press, the people who are supposed to speak truth to power and about power, are trying to cover it up and suppress it and spin it to make it less important. It's actually appalling, and it just brings that old Latin tag, you know, who will guard the guardians? If we've lost a press that really cares about the truth, if we've lost a press willing to hold any powerful person to high standards, then we've lost the people who are supposed to guard.
But how does a journalist, how does someone who calls himself a journalist, whose default position you would think would always be more information, as long as there's no grave downside, how does that person argue against showing the public things it's entitled to see?
It's amazing, and I really do think it is a holdover from the Obama administration, an administration that turned the federal government essentially into a Chicago-style machine full of cronies and corruption and outward malfeasance. I mean, malfeasance we could see, like the IRS scandal, while the press stood by, afraid, I think, to lay a finger on a president who they looked at as, you know, the first black president, certainly, and as the spokesman for their point of view, their ideological point of view, and they didn't want to touch him. And when you have no press, the government is going to get out of control, and the Obama administration did.
Very quickly, Ms. Turchi, do you think that it's in the FBI's interest to declassify what it can as it pertains to this investigation? You know, things that don't obviously jeopardize our national security, but to the extent it can, tell us more.
The natural tendency for me and any other FBI official would be to say no, but in this instance, the answer is definitely yes. This goes way beyond what the FBI does, what the case is about, or what this particular series of circumstances is about. this goes right to the idea of civil liberties and the balance that the FBI is responsible for ensuring between criminal investigations, national security, and civil liberties. And we messed up. And we just simply have to get this out. And the sooner we do, the sooner people see as much as they can see and as much as is safe to show them is from a national security perspective, the better off we'll all be. Because right now, as we've seen today, national security wasn't the argument for this.
No, they lied about that. Thank you both. That was really interesting. I appreciate your perspective.
Thanks, Tucker.